My name's Zach, and this is Nosterfield Nature Reserve. This is one of my favourite places in the whole of Britain to come to, because it's just got such a diverse set of wildlife. From the abbotsets that you get here breeding in the summer, to the bloody-nosed beetles that are the only site in Yorkshire that you find them. Now these are a really interesting beetle because they have a fused wing case, which means that they can't actually fly. They also get their name because they have a red fluid which exudes from their face whenever they get threatened or scared, which means that predators don't like the taste of it or the smell of it, so they just sort of back off a bit. There's a Bioblitz happening here today, which is why I'm here really. It's such a great place to come to, especially when there's something as big as this happening. So I'm here at another beautiful part of this nature reserve, and I'm here with Simon Warwick, who I suppose you could call the boss.
Yeah, a few of us have really got together and saw this area as having great potential. And so 21 years ago, we set up charity to buy the initial area of it. Essentially, I suppose I've sort of led that charity for that 21-year period. And it's expanded and expanded, you know, now it's almost becoming sort of a full-time job, because there are so many facets to it, so many enthusiastic volunteers to support and find the funding for. But equally, we're working really closely with the mineral company, so it's then going and negotiating with them to try to get the best out of the site that we can do.
So, what is this, and what have you been doing here recently?
Zach, you know the main reserve, which we took on 21 years ago. This was quarried up until about 10 years ago, and it's relatively barren. There are not many plants growing here. And what we wanted to do was to sort of not just go and plant some reeds, which everybody does. We thought it'd be really interesting to find out what has been here in the past, and we're next door to some Neolithic henges, the Thornborough henges, where some core sampling has been done, and from that we can see the pollen, plant macrofossils, beetle remains, mollusk remains, and from that we can build a picture of the plants that were growing here at that stage. So we thought it'd be really interesting to go and collect those together and look at replicating some of that. We've done a bit of a trial run at it, planted some of the plants last year, and they've grown really well.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So this is, of course, a very unusual project to sort of undertake. So what have other people thought of it?
When we spoke to people like RSPB and so on, they said, well, no one else is doing this, you know, so it's breaking new ground.
So I'm now here with Laurie and Pan, who are probably the people that are working the most on this, and they're doing a great job here. So can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing here and what you've got in your hand?
What I've got in my hand is great fence edge. And what we've been doing is splitting them so that you end up with two plants.
That noise.
Yes. But this should grow to about 8 to 10 feet.
What are you trying to aim for with this plant and the other plants that you're making here?
We're trying to reintroduce all the rich number of species that would have been about in wetlands, and most of the wetlands have been drained, and we're trying to reintroduce those plants. And because there aren't many around, we've collected seed and plants from some local areas where they still remain, and we're propagating them up. That's why we're having to do it ourselves, because there aren't many left in the wild.
Yeah, it's great.
And it is a learning process for us as well, because there's not many papers or anything written on the processes needed.
But all of these species are really good for bacteria, fungi, invertebrates, and then for the birds that eat them.
Yeah.
Great.
And we need to generate a lot more plants, so the new polytunnel and the wet beds that are going in there will expand our production considerably.
Because as you can see, we have run out of space, and if we leave anything unnetted, the birds eat it.
Yeah, so I can imagine that the wildlife here could be a big problem if you...
It is. We had a mallard nested in there
Somehow
this year
got in.
with 13 eggs.
Wow.
So that did disrupt things slightly.
Yeah, 13's a lot for a mallard as well, isn't it?
It is. I think she actually 10 hatched.
Wow. Hiya.
Hi Zach, how are you? All right.
Good, thanks. Yeah, how are you?
What a great place this is. There's
Yeah,
just
it
so
is, isn't it?
much
Yeah.
variety of birds here.
So much about today?
Yeah, there's some shorebirds, waders on the back of the shore there. There's wood sandpipers and
Nice.
ruff, ring plover, and there's just a lovely selection here.
Some grey legs flying in.
Yeah, they're really noisy, aren't they?
Yeah, probably the main noise you can hear here, apart from my camera. So what is it that you do then?
Well, I'm a sort of bird illustrator and wildlife artist, really,
That's interesting.
Zach. I'll show you this one here.
Wow.
The Bioblitz, where I'm trying to do a piece of art per site. And this was at Loch Leven a few days ago now. There were some goldfinches outside the hide. I've seen lots of goldfinches and sketched them many, many times, but it's only when you start looking with a view of drawing or painting that you start noting all these unusual sort of markings that are particular to the juveniles.
Very lucky to get that close to something to be able to see it. So.
This was something that I was on the ferry when we were going over to Belfast, and all the gannets were weaving across, and some were plunging in. So it's these little snippets of ideas that I might bring to other paintings when I get back in the studio.
Oh, and gannets are beautiful creatures, aren't they? The way that they sort of gracefully dive into the sea.
They're fantastic. We've been lucky to see quite a few this last few days. It's been great.
Thanks a lot for joining me and the Nosterfield team here at the reserve, and I really do hope I see you again soon.